Welcome to Facilitating on Purpose, where we explore ideas together about designing and facilitating learning. Join me to get inspired on your journey to becoming and being a great facilitator wherever you work. I'm your host, Beth Kugler-Blom. Hello, welcome. This is episode 4, Facilitation is the New Coaching with Moe Poirier. Moe's company is called Shift Facilitation, and he says that together with his team, he's on a mission to have corporate trainers and facilitators reinvent themselves as change agents and value creators for the organizations they serve. So, what's one of the best ways that a person can be a change agent or a value creator for their organization? Well, by learning and using facilitation skills, of course. In this episode, Moe and I talk about creating value for our clients with facilitation, and by helping them learn facilitation skills, especially those folks who don't even call themselves facilitators or think about what they do as facilitation. Moe shares with us the core facilitation mindsets and skill sets that he trains people how to use. And we talk a lot about how group facilitation is like coaching and how coaching is like group facilitation. We also touch on the importance of growing our self-awareness as facilitators, recognizing things like when our own egos show up, as well as those little fraud voices, as Moe calls them, that try to trip us up in our work. And what do we do about those things? So I invite you to dive in with Moe and I as we explore how people in any field can benefit from developing facilitation skills. Enjoy the show. Well, Moe, I'm so happy to be chatting with you today, and thank you for being here. It's great to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Beth. I'm excited too.
I know we're going to have some great conversations, and I think we both always love talking about facilitation, don't we? So
Yeah, all day long, every day. Yeah, totally.
we'll see where this goes, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to some of your insights. One of the things that comes across loud and clear for me about the work that you do is that, you're not only a facilitator yourself, but you teach people how to facilitate and work with a wide number of clients and organizations. So one of the things I saw on your website was that you're a value creator. You had a lot of actually great words about, what you do, but that stood out to me, being a value creator. So tell me a little bit about what you do and how you're creating value for people.
I love the title of the book, and I think it fits exactly right with facilitating on purpose. So it's really being clear about the work that we do and the possibilities that are open to us. Like, aren't we the luckiest people in the world? Like, the work that we get to do to help others be their best and support people that way. So yeah, this whole idea of being a value creator means, as a facilitator, I'm contributing something to help people achieve a goal or a behavior change. If I'm in training, then every time I'm in a training room, there's a change that I'm supporting. It's probably aligned with a business goal. It's probably aligned with an important skill set or tool set or a process that folks need to be able to apply with a level of mastery. And so every time I'm working, I have this opportunity to create value for people, to help them be better at what they do or help them achieve a goal or an outcome. And so as facilitators, we're creating value all the time. And I wonder if sometimes we miss that. We lose sight of it because we're so busy, because it's another session, because it's another group of people. And it's easy just to get lost in the day-to-day and lose that bigger picture. What are we really here for?
I really agree. And I think, one of the things I probably said in the past is that we really have the ability to change the world as facilitators. You're right. We're very busy people, especially during the pandemic, and it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and not see that, what we think are small things or tiny impacts can be multiplied to be really, really big and global.
Yeah, and it happens to the best of us, right? I'll show up for the opening of a session and my shoulders are slumped and I'm tired and it's another group and I'll just take that 5 minutes, before a session just with my journal and reminding myself this group of people and this opportunity right in front of me to make a difference for them, and in turn they go out. I mean, facilitation is a pay it forward game. We help others so that they can go out into the world and be better for others too. So there's this ripple effect from the work that we do. And all that for me ties back to, why do I do this? What's my purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing, and what difference in the world am I creating? So it's all connected together, Beth.
It is. Oh, I love that you really drew it back to, your purpose. It's not just about you helping the groups, is it? And their goals and what they're trying to achieve, but it's maybe some deep-seated thing within you that you're trying to serve as well. And how do you have both? And maybe it's a both and sort of situation.
Yeah, it's a positive reinforcing cycle. Absolutely.
One of the things I know you talk about is mindset. And so you just said, when you're about to start a facilitation that you journal a little bit, or you maybe start getting into some of these mindsets that you have as a facilitator. And I know I've been thinking more about breathing techniques as I kind of get myself settled to start to facilitate, and just that sort of somatic side, and yeah, settling in and getting ready. And what do you want to say about mindsets as you get ready to facilitate, or as you actually do it?
It's back to value creation, really being grounded and purposeful with your intentions. What gifts, what gifts do I have to offer for this group? And that's a part of that mindfulness for sure for me. So that's a mindset. I have something of value that I'm here to share with this group of people who are assembled here today. For me to be at my best in this moment to help them receive that gift. That's what's going on for me in those moments before a session, and getting my head in the right place, right? That mindset piece for sure.
There's a confidence piece there too, I think, because, sometimes I think newer facilitators or people that haven't done it, but they're about to, I think they kind of question themselves and go, well, what do I have to share? How can I be like him or her? And I'll never be that. And is there a confidence piece there that you think we have to, for new facilitators, get over, or start to grow into?
At Shift, we like to call it swagger without ego. I'm here to serve a purpose. I'm here to share this gift with people. And there's a confidence that comes from that, an openness, a generosity that comes from that. But you're right. I walk into a room of senior executives and I'm intimidated. You're right. There's this confidence, this belief. I would say it's interconnected. It's confidence, but also belief, so that I can self-generate that belief, right? I can reinforce that I have something to share, that these people need my help today. I can help these people. So there's a self-assuredness. And I also agree with where you're going with it, because that comes over time. I think for new facilitators, it can be overwhelming. Can I really help these people? And then the fraud voice kicks in, right? I don't deserve to be here. Why am I teaching this topic? Oh my gosh, can I really help these people? That, that can be a downward spiral, right? And it can undermine that sense of confidence that we have as facilitators for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. And, I said new facilitators, but you're right. I have it too, even though I've been facilitating for, I don't even know, 20 years maybe, or something, more than 20 years. And so, you recognize that it's there, don't you? And go, okay, I see my nervousness. I see that I'm, kind of scared to go into this group of, new people, or, senior leaders or whoever it is, and just note that and go, no, I still have something to share. This is going to be great. We can do this. It's like the positive self-talk or something, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's all part of the prep. We also use this universal truth in our work. What happens in me happens in my participants. If I'm vibrating with this anxious, nervous energy, that will translate to the people in the room. And so it's that preparation that you talked about, that little bit of mindfulness, focused attention to get myself ready, nice and grounded, nice and steady. And then that's the energy that I'm sharing with the room.
Are there other mindsets that you talk about with the people that you're teaching about facilitation?
For sure. There's a number of them. Some interesting distinctions start to show up in our work. If we're teaching facilitators, that's their role in it. And there's a contract that underlies the role of the facilitator in some ways, right? You can be objective, you can be neutral. What's interesting is when we start looking at facilitation in the context of leadership, where there's hierarchy present. And so now that whole mindset around neutrality versus authority becomes a tension, of a very significant tension. If I'm a facilitator and I'm leading a project team, I've been brought in from the outside, I don't have a stake in the outcome. If I'm a leader from internal helping this project team, I have a role and a title and some authority granted to me by the organization. I can't be 100% neutral. It's impossible.
Absolutely. I remember taking a facilitation skills 3-day course or whatever it was a bunch of years ago. And, I was one of the only people who was one of those external people, coming in to support the group. But a lot of people in the room were those, they work at the organization, somehow they fell into a facilitation role or whatever it was. And a lot of the conversation was around how that is challenging. And it's a different thing, isn't it? Yeah. To have that hat you sort of put on and take off.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Do the people that you work with mostly call themselves facilitators, or are you helping them think about, okay, well, I'm some other role. I have a different job title, but I'm using facilitation skills in my work. Like, do they identify with the word facilitator, or facilitation skills is kind of more where they go?
Yeah, the easiest example, we can look at different contexts. The first, context, the easiest one is training. So we have these folks who are thrown into facilitation because they're the subject matter expert. So, hey, Beth, you're an expert on liberating structures. Would you please teach the class next week for us? And if you have no training background or no facilitation experience, now suddenly you're this expert at the front of the room who's sharing that expertise with others. And so without any formal training or background in facilitation skills, you kind of figure it out as you go. And if you're wise, you've been studying other facilitators. Now imitation is the highest form of flattery, because you've picked up on some tricks that you've seen other facilitators use, and then you find your way. It's a school of hard knocks, so to speak, of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So that's on the training side. And then we also get folks who are thrown into scenarios or situations where they're asked to be a facilitator because they're leading a project, because they're the scrum master, because they're the Lean Six Sigma black belt, and they're leading a conversation on the manufacturing floor, and it's a reflection board or a Gemba walk. And now you've got group activity, group processes that are being led by a leader who needs facilitation skills and is using facilitation skills without necessarily even knowing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you learn from watching others, you only see the active facilitation part. You don't see the preparation at all, right? Like that's, occurring to me now that, oh yeah, when we do learn from other people, just kind of by osmosis watching them, we don't see any of the detailed work that, leads up to that. We hope, right, that people are, the effective ones hopefully are doing that.
We have lots of analogies that we could play with. You see a talented musician, you see a talented performer, whether it's arts or sports, pick your flavor. But this person has rehearsed over and over and over again and prepared, and years of of experience and training to be that effortless at what they do and make it look so easy. What a lovely play on words now, because a facilitator's job is to make things easy for others. And when you see a really talented facilitator, they make it look easy.
They do. And then you don't really realize, maybe as a new facilitator or someone that's kind of learning the skills, you don't realize how challenging a role I guess until you get up in front of the room yourself and start doing it, as you said, and you realize, oh, there's a lot more to think about here than just, being a kind person at the front of the room or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, what a classic scenario, right? It looks easy until you try it.
So you talk about coaching. We know tons of coaches and you do coaching yourself. And we know there's a strong link there between facilitation skills and coaching skills. But one of the things I've heard you say is that facilitation is the new coaching. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, here's what we see as a trend. So when I think back to the mid 90s when people were first starting to talk about coaching in a business context, and it was early days. Now where the world at is today is coaching is the standard really when we think about how a manager or a leader within an organization is expected to interact with their direct reports, even with peers. So in our one-to-one interactions, we use inquiry-based skills. We use, appreciative inquiry. We use really deep empathic listening, right? So to help others set goals for themselves, to help others self-determine, their course of action. I'm oversimplifying coaching in the way, that's the point, right? Help someone else figure out a problem without leaning on advice or giving them the solution. Help them figure it out themselves. Coaching in a one-to-one context is the gold standard for leadership. And what we're seeing emerge is, how about the group interactions? And so we don't think coaching is replaced by facilitation, but rather facilitation is the evolution of coaching that takes a leader from one-to-one interactions to one-to-group or one-to-many interactions, because there's new things happening. There's group dynamics, there's group process, there's group decision making. There's a number of things that happen in a group context, and a skillful facilitator, you've already talked about preparation, creates some structure to help support the group in that context.
It's funny that you're drawing it from like the coaching as a one-to-one thing to the larger group thing, because sometimes I think about it the opposite way, that because I end up doing more, I'm not a coach, so I end up doing more group facilitation, obviously, but I talk about facilitation is possible at a one-to-one level as well. So I almost think about it the other way. It's like, okay, we're group facilitators, but actually you can use facilitation skills in one-to-one conversations. So we're kind of saying the same thing. We're just kind of looking at it differently.
Yeah, what we're agreeing on is there's a core skill set that a coach uses and a facilitator uses. And so there's such a strong overlap. Asking questions, deep listening, having a process or some structure to follow. Those things are true in both coaching and facilitation.
Absolutely. Asking questions for me, I mean, that's probably the one thing I keep coming back to. And I know that for myself, I've said it's like a lifelong journey to, continue to learn how to ask great questions. Is there one in there, one skill set that you'll always be working on yourself, or you end up talking about the most with your clients?
Yeah, for sure. It's patience, it's letting go. My heart is breaking for the group. I'm experiencing a sense of pain or anxiety because I want them to be successful, and that gets in my way. So how can I be an ally or an advocate for the group without taking them in a direction that's about me and not about them? Like, whose need is it? Do they need it or do I need it? That's a constant examination for me.
I totally agree. I think of it as ego, right? The ego of the facilitator. It's very easy to fall into the trap of the expert, right? And this is true for group process facilitation or facilitation of learning, training, that it's very easy to be on the stage, there's that whole thing, sage in the stage. But I work to check that in myself as well. But man, it is easy to fall into your own stuff, isn't it? And kind of get out of your head and serve the group mostly.
So that's true for you and I, Beth. Imagine a leader who's unskilled in the art and science of facilitation managing that tension unconsciously. We're both aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most leaders on the planet don't even know that it's happening. So there's something going on with their spidey senses. There's tingling in their body, and they feel this tension, but then I don't think they can name it as accurately as you and I might.
How do you help people with that? Like, how do you support people to raise their own awareness about all the things that are going on inside their body, inside their mind, when they're that facilitative person?
So the expression of facilitation is the new coaching is our program that's called Leader as Facilitator. So take any leader on the planet and help them develop some really core facilitation skills. There's mindset and skill set pieces, right, that we can now make conscious. So conscious awareness, of course, right, is the first step. From a mindset perspective, neutrality versus authority. And you and I have talked about that. Process versus content. Which one do I own more responsibility for? Challenging versus encouraging. When do I really push or stretch the group versus when am I supporting them and cheering for them? Asking versus telling. You and I have just talked about that. Like, where's the boundary line between interjecting something that's a rule or a policy or a truth versus allowing for some flexibility and continuing with questions? And then emergence, we call it emergence versus the agenda. In a session, things happen. It comes up organically. You can't plan for it. Sometimes it's a gift and it unlocks something. Other times it's a tension or a conflict and we have to figure out a way to resolve it or park it. I'm guessing you feel the same tension, but for me it's, oh man, we're running out of time. Oh no, I don't know if we're going to get to our objectives. Oh, but what about our agenda? And so I'm fretting about those things constantly, and that's a tension with just allowing things in the room to unfold and going at a natural pace that the group wants to go at.
Yeah. Again, I don't know, it's a confidence thing or something that you have your own agenda, but then the group needs something and you have to make the decision either by yourself as the facilitator, or sometimes you have to involve the group, right? Like
That's right.
yeah, that's
So
challenging.
so those are mindsets, right? Those are the key mindsets for a leader who embraces a facilitator type of role. And then we get to skill sets. That was the second part of your question. So skill sets, questioning, we've talked about that. Like really being able to ask in the moment a powerful question that unlocks something for the group. Listening and paraphrasing. So that deep listening plus being able to reflect back to the group really accurately, right, what they're saying, what they're sharing. Naming and confirming is the third skill. So this is interesting. Can you name something that you're sensing in the room, identify it for folks, and then check back with them to confirm if they're feeling the same thing or if they're feeling or sensing something different, right? And so there's this constant checking back in, right? We call that checking in sometimes, right? So those are related to, in the moment, advanced level skill sets, right? That exceptional facilitators use. And then in the process, in group process, to bring light to things, we need feedback. I'm noticing this and I'm seeing this impact, right? The facilitator offers that to the group and then we can check it. And the last bit, which is heavily relied upon, is being able to have difficult conversations in a fair, respectful, open way so that we can sort things out when it's not working. Something's broken, we need to talk about it so that we can get past it and keep moving forward. Now we've got sort of this 5 mindsets and 5 core skill sets that really enable a leader to step into facilitation roles and create a positive difference for others.
I think those are so powerful and they can give people who didn't really set out to train as a facilitator, quote unquote, those kind of something to hang their hat on, so to speak. It's like, but what do I do? How do I do this? And what do I need to be paying attention to? I think those are great guideposts for the person that has some other job, basically, that they think of themselves as, but they're needing to use these skills, either one-on-one or with their groups, whatever it looks like.
You got it. And like these are strategic capabilities. These are must-haves for leaders. We talk about VUCA. We talk about, so complexity and volatility and uncertainty, collaboration, innovation, change. Like those are constants. Those are constants. You started with asking about creating value. So when we look at the framework for this, the CEO and the executive team looking for innovation, well, the pre-step to innovation is collaboration. And in order to get collaboration, the activity of collaborating, you need facilitators. Or you need leaders who at least are conversant, and have some foundational skills as facilitators. So now we've got this complete value chain. Facilitation drives collaboration, and collaboration drives innovation. This is how we sit together, bring diverse groups of people together, different backgrounds, different expertise, and get them working on a problem or an opportunity. Smart people working together towards a productive outcome with a leader who has some core facilitation skills at the center guiding the action. That's cool.
That's cool.
That's
I
really
mean,
cool.
yeah, then you kind of get like shivers on your arms, right? With this kind of stuff. Like this is where, if the pandemic taught us anything too, it's that I was kind of cheekily saying, but I think it's absolutely true that facilitators or people who use facilitation skills have the power to get us through these kind of big challenges, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you say about trust? I mean, I'm in the middle of reading Chad Littlefield's book about virtual facilitation, and he goes on at length, wonderfully, about trust. I mean, you have to have this, and that's one of the things facilitators help us do, right? To be able to collaborate, to have that innovation.
True. And then let's look at coaching and facilitation together side by side. And so it's true, coaches and facilitators create safe spaces for people. They create safe thinking space, they create safe emotional spaces, they create safe physical spaces. Can I interact with you and this group of people and be safe? And there's trust inherent in that question.
You also said too about facilitators, I forget how you phrased it, but it was basically like, we're the ones who I think whether we work for the organization or not, can illuminate things that are going on in the room and effectively give voice to that, in a constructive, maybe even positive way, that there's something I'm noticing here, am I on track? Let's talk about it. And you can kind of almost the elephant in the room kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. As simple as tracking participation in the room. Hey gang, we haven't heard from half of you yet. Let's take a second. Get out your sticky notes. Everybody write down one important thing for you right now, and then let's make sure that we hear from everybody. And so now we've got all the voices in the room, and some of the quiet ones have a safe way to contribute without feeling like they've been put on the spot. And that's an artful move by a facilitator who recognizes something that's going on in the room.
When you say leader or the new leaders, who are you really thinking about? I mean, can we lead? Are we just talking senior leaders? Moe?
Yeah, no.
Tell me more.
It's good. It's really good. So let's start with the business context first, right? Like all the keywords: coaching, agile, collaboration, diversity, virtual teams, Scrum, self-managing teams, lean, cross-functional teams, autonomy, hybrid work, multidisciplinary teams, Kaizen, Kanban, design thinking, learning, continuous improvement, right? It's like every single executive that we talk to says, yes, those words are like, that's driving our strategy. And then we drill down to, okay, so who are the facilitative leaders in your organization? And we can simply say that any leader who's working in or across teams, they are now automatically in situations where they have to facilitate. So what are some of their job titles? Product managers, operations managers, project leaders, scrum masters, agile coaches, black belts and green belts working on Six Sigma projects, plant managers, production managers. Like we haven't even gotten to the obvious ones, like innovation leaders, right? One of our clients, this is awesome. So Farm Credit Canada, their IT folks are not called IT.
Okay, what are they called?
They're called productivity and collaboration specialists.
Oh, I like that. Nice. It's long, but I like that.
Right. And so what do? Well, they facilitate. They facilitate the use of technology to serve a business purpose, to serve a business outcome. How lovely, right? Canada Life has a center for facilitation excellence in-house. They are propagating facilitation expertise within the organization because it's that important to their business.
And at all levels, I'm sure, right? It's no job is untouched basically by these
Right,
possibilities. Yeah.
right. Ontario Power Generation, their whole leadership culture is defined as facilitative leadership. They are actively on a path to move every single leader from, shop floor supervisors all the way to their senior leadership teams to embrace a facilitative style in the way that they lead in their organization. It's amazing. We are totally inspired by the work that our clients are doing because we see them leading it, right? They're leading this.
There's a hopefulness there for me too, right? That, these big organizations, and I'm sure you work with small organizations too, right? And other sectors. We have, we won't even get into talking about nonprofit and healthcare and all those great folks, but no matter who you are, when we think about, organizations using facilitation skills at all levels, I mean, it's kind of a good chills down your spine sort of thing, isn't it? There's a great hopefulness there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a grand vision for us, right? What if every leader on the planet had some core facilitation skills and some confidence to go into group situations and know that they could add value, know that they could help this group of people achieve an outcome. That's totally inspiring.
Yeah, that's the vision statement, right? For all of
Yeah,
us. Yeah.
yeah.
What about you, Mo? If I can draw us, a little bit to the close, but I want to hear about you, where you're taking your own personal facilitation skills. Are there things that you're doing right now where you're intentionally on your learning edge? How do you keep growing and evolving your own skills?
Well, Beth, you joined us for the facilitation lab, and we are stretching in all dimensions of our practice. So we learned from Chase, right? Presence in the room and talked about the neutral mask and how we use our bodies. The activity we did where we threw the fishing nets, which you were awesome at, by the way.
That was fun.
So yeah, how we use our bodies as facilitators and what signals are we sending sometimes without even realizing. That's one way that we're continuing to stretch. For me, definitely it's improv. I'm an engineer, so I like structure and I like knowing that we've got a set of, steps to follow. And I become pretty attached to that. It gives me a sense of stability, it gives me a sense of security and safety in the room. And what I'm learning from others is to let go. and so inspired by improv, of course, we use improv techniques all the time. Yes, and building off of each other's ideas, but to facilitate without a script, to be unrehearsed, have a sketch, have an outline, but not necessarily having everything scripted, down to the minute or down to the second.
Yeah, when I hear people say, "Oh, I've got to go practice my script," and I think, well, there's, of course there's the plan, but is it down to the phrasing of each sentence? Like, oh, not for me. And it sounds like not for you either. For me, you mentioned liberating structures. It's like the liberation within the structure. It's like that balancing act, right? Of being able to be
Yeah,
flexible within.
there's a sense of freedom that comes with that. And there's some lovely wisdom too. Rebecca Southerns is an inspiration. I really appreciate the work that she's done in some of her writings. The line from Rebecca that I remember is off script, but not off track.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
So there's some nice wisdom in that. And improv and letting go, and those are lessons that I'm still learning and still figuring out.
It's one of those always will be as well
Right.
too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep
Right.
learning. Let me ask you lastly, what does it mean to you to facilitate on purpose? Is there anything that you haven't said that's coming forward?
I've been really lucky. It's an honor for me to have had opportunities and a privilege to be able to do some of this work where I got to discover my own core values and my core purpose. So my expression of me, right? How I express myself in the world and how I create what I'm creating in the world, the gifts that I'm sharing with the world, all those things intersect in my work. And oh my gosh, right? To be able to do work that's meaningful and connected to my heart, right? So there's a passion and a truth, a deep connection for me. Gives me joy. So that's how lovely is that I have the opportunity to do that. And I feel lucky. So if I connect back to my purpose, who I am and what matters to me, yeah, it's deeply meaningful. And I'm searching for something here to read for you. My core purpose, devoting my time, talents, and energy to inspiring possibilities and greatness in others. That's me. I have an opportunity to express that every time I'm in front of a group. And my core values, I'm legacy, inspiration, relationships, and connection. How lucky, right? How fortunate I am to be able to live those values through the work that I do. That's did I get too soft? No, I don't think that's too soft. I think it's important, right? That we know what matters.
Absolutely. You're bringing it to joy and to gratitude. If we all had that in our role, and that, yeah, I do too, I feel exactly the same way. I feel very lucky to be able to do what I do. And if we can give just a little bit of that or help other people find that in themselves with their facilitation skills, with their work in general, I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah, it's a great place to be.
For sure. Even in our sessions, or some of our tools are designed to do exactly that. The 5 personas is a tool that allows you to discover your strengths as a facilitator, and it's connected to your gifts, and it's connected to your purpose and what how you show up in the room and the difference that you make for others. It's pretty cool, right?
It is. Let's get those links in the show notes so that everybody can find the tools and the assessments that you have to help them in this direction. I think sounds like you're doing great work, Moe. And I thank you for being here. Is there anything lastly that you'd like to say? Is there anything final you'd like to say?
No, thank you. This is really fun and free form talking about the work that we do. Yeah, it's really meaningful. Thank you, Beth.
Wow. So didn't Moe's joy and passion for facilitation simply just ooze out of him during our conversation? Surely he and his team are helping organizations change the world through coaching them to develop facilitation skills. When we share what we know about facilitation with others, we can help leaders be even more effective in today's world. I loved how Moe mentioned that leaders can learn and use facilitation skills as strategic capabilities for their organizations. So powerful. On the next episode, I talk with Tara Yashkoviak of Groundwork. Tara is an entrepreneur that helps other entrepreneurs grow their brand and their business with intention. Join Tara and I as we go behind the scenes of a facilitator's work. And we talk about all those things that we sometimes forget to do, like planning, reflecting on our work, developing our communication skills, and more. Thank you for listening to Facilitating on Purpose. If you were inspired by something in this episode, please share it with a friend or a colleague to help them expand their facilitation practice too. To find the show notes, give me feedback, or submit ideas for future episodes, visit facilitatingonpurpose.com. Special thanks to Mary Chan at Organized Sound Productions for producing this episode. Happy facilitating!